The camera industry has been tricking you for the last 3 years, keeping you trapped in a loop of minor, incremental upgrades that cost a fortune but change absolutely nothing about your actual creative output. They give you a slightly different screen hinge, they tweak the menu colors, and they call it a revolution. But right now, a quiet engineering war has just reached its absolute breaking point, and Sony has officially dropped a high-resolution monster that renders every single full-frame camera on Earth look like ancient, primitive relics. This is the Sony A7R VI. This is not just a standard yearly update. This is a monumental hardware, processing, and architectural shift that fundamentally redefines what an imaging sensor is capable of doing. If you are a commercial photographer, a landscape artist, a studio professional, or a filmmaker who has been waiting for the ultimate hybrid power to mature, you need to freeze exactly what you are doing. The entire landscape of digital imaging has just been completely rewritten, and the sheer computational dominance hidden inside this weather-sealed frame is about to alter how you capture light and detail forever. To understand why this specific camera is causing absolute panic across competing engineering divisions, you have to look under the hood at a technological feat that was thought to be physically impossible just 24 months ago. For years, high-resolution cameras suffered from a massive, frustrating compromise. If you wanted an extreme, mind-blowing megapixel count to capture microtextures for giant commercial prints, you were forced to accept a slow, clunky shooting experience with terrible low-light performance and an internal buffer that choked the moment you tried to shoot fast action. Sony smashed that entire barrier to pieces by implementing a newly developed, back-illuminated stacked CMOS sensor pushing close to 100 megapixels. Paired with a dual-processor engine driven by dedicated AI hardware accelerators, they engineered a machine that shouldn't mathematically exist under traditional thermal limits. You are no longer holding a camera. You are holding an advanced, liquid-cooled computer that processes massive, high-density data arrays in fractions of a millisecond with zero lag. Let's talk about what this extreme resolution actually does for you in the real world, because it completely alters your entire psychological approach to photography. When you have this much raw detail at your fingertips, you stop worrying about framing perfectly in a split-second window. You can capture a wide, sweeping perspective of an entire scene, and later in post-processing, crop in up to 400% on a distant detail and still deliver a razor-sharp, high-resolution file that meets the demanding standards of a billboard advertisement. The microtextures of clothing, individual pores on a model's face, and the subtle gradients of light on a mountain peak are preserved with an organic, three-dimensional look that standard full-frame sensors simply cannot replicate. It essentially turns your premium prime lenses into versatile zoom systems without losing a single ounce of edge-to-edge sharpness. But an extreme megapixel count is completely useless if the camera lacks the speed and intelligence to lock focus on a moving subject. This is where Sony's advanced artificial intelligence chip completely redefines expectations. We are no longer talking about standard autofocus systems that get confused by background clutter or lose track of a person the moment they turn their head. The A7R VI utilizes a highly sophisticated, real-time neural network tracking grid that has been trained on massive libraries of real-world subjects. The moment a subject enters the frame, the camera